This weekend, Tesla released full self-driving version 12.4.1 to a small number of early access customers beyond Tesla employees. So what did they find? Well, it's a mixed bag. First, FSD version 12.4 shows promise and incredible leaps, but still needs some polish. Unfortunately, the two big features, Summon and Banish, were not yet made available, but in some very big leaps, Elon clarified that yes, indeed, the car can now remember. We'll show you some videos of how this new version is performing. And finally, Tesla also added two new features to the Tesla app that will be very big for robotaxi, a new rider quality score, and also guest mode. I've got Jeff Lutz joining us. Jeff is the ex-CVP of Supply Chain and ex-Chief Quality Officer at many Fortune 100 companies, and he's currently the CEO of his own supply chain consulting company. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah, great to be with you, Herbert.
So this announcement or release of version 12.4 to regular customers like us, early access still, kind of fell behind because there was so many big news that we just reported on also. But this one is important. We've been following this and waiting for it. So this is Chuck Cook, one of the early access users, says supervised FSD 12.4.1 is now downloading to his car, and a lot of others also. Elon replied to him saying, expect the level of polish to improve considerably with each point release. Omar was asked, how do you feel about the 5 to 10 time improvement comment? Does it feel like it could at least be 2 times based on initial drives? Yes. So I think the general comment is that this 12.4.1 is still buggy. There's a few things that need to be resolved, but it is better in many ways. And then there is no summon or banish accessible to customers with this yet. And then he did say this shows promise, but needs some polish. Expect 12.4.2 or 12.4.3 to go wide. That's the one that's going to go wide. Isn't ready yet to replace 12.3.6. And then Elon replied to him saying an accurate assessment. So that's a quick update. Jeff, tell me everything you think about all that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, these are very large models. These are big new features that are being added. I've mentioned this, I think, on last week's show and the one before, and I a number of comments are saying, no. This is not conventional software development. It's not going to need to drive down a bug curve. Of course, it's going to need to drive down a bug curve. So you're introducing new features, you're introducing new functionality, and Tesla doesn't just train a model and the model just does everything and installs itself, sets itself up on the network. There's still involvement and there's still new features. So they pulled the new features. So I don't know if the features themselves had bugs in them and did not meet the requirements, or were the features actually causing bugs in other areas of the release and actually destabilizing it. We won't know. But it looks like Tesla has this cycle now of training a new model, and then there's this dwell period of time where they're doing lab testing, and it looks like there may be some issue between what they see in their internal testing versus when they get it out to a couple hundred customer cars. So I think they want to close that gap, and they want to try to understand from a test coverage perspective how they can capture some of these things sooner, and basically just not be in the situation. But it's also not unexpected when you're still introducing new features. So I'm not surprised. I don't think it's slow. I don't think it's problematic. I think these are the things that Tesla has to do until they get the feature complete, and until maybe the amount of change in these models that they're training also, there's some stability there as well. But I don't know what that looks like, and I believe that there's probably still more larger changes coming ahead of in 12.5 and 12.6 and so forth. So yeah, I agree. A couple more point releases, I'm sure it will polish things up, and they'll be able to solve some of these issues. There are there's bugs that that are being noticed in some of the drives. It's not just the model is erratic or weird in this one point. It's like, no, there's an actual logic, there's an actual bug that needs to be fixed. So Tesla will work through these pretty quickly, and we'll get a point release out that can go to more drivers, and then we'll stay on this for some period of time and get some real data from it. And Tesla's already obviously working on 12.5 and 12.6 in the background.
I'm going to be showing some videos of both positive and negative. So the big one, of course, I'm excited about is that it actually remembers, and I'll show a video of the garbage and it knows, it remembered it was there. And then videos, of course, where there's bugs, lane changing, ping ponging, but those things are bugs. They can identify them and they can resolve them. And the key thing is, are you seeing leaps in capability and then you have bugs? You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with the bugs because those, can be checked off. It's the leaps of capability that I'm most interested in. The one thing that, so first off, the comment that Elon said last week or 2 weeks ago was expecting it to be 5 to 10 times better. Right now, hard to say, of course, but the early access user, like Omar said, at least 2 times better. Any comments on that?
I think that's going to be hard to say. I respect any driver and their input, including Omar for sure. I think it's going to be difficult. You'd really want to see that across a larger population over a longer period of time. But he was asked the question and answered it based on what he knew at that point. So that's fine. For Tesla to come in and Elon to think that it's 5 to 10x better, my guess that they would have some lab testing where they would understand the amount of interventions in some sort of simulator, some sort of accelerator that they're running in the lab, and they would have a data, they would basically have a set of data points. So yeah, I believe this will be this many times better based on our lab testing. So I'm hoping they were commenting off of that. But the proof is going to be when the drivers are out there and what they see. So this has been a difficult thing from a metric perspective. I'm big in the metrics. I'm big in the data. I'm big in the measurement systems. And right now, you're really getting a lot of qualitative feels from people because it's one person, one drive, one set of routes, and it's not as it's not as holistic. But that's part of the thing you're actually solving for as well. So I think we need more data to know how many times better it is.
Okay, so this is exciting. It's possible that this is a brand new feature. Elon then confirmed it. So AI drivers, one of the early access. He's got an incredible channel, a good X account where he has been really testing FSD through the ringer. FSD 12.4.1 goes around some garbage in the road after it's in the front camera's blind spot. It's possible that as some kind of memory of objects now, more testing is needed. Elon said it does remember. It remembers. So let's watch this video. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, it's hard to say. I'm not sure what. I mean, I saw it drive around something, and I saw Elon's comments. It says it remembers. So there is memory, and the question is how is it being used, and what data is going up to the cloud? How quickly is that data from the cloud going back down to vehicles? But I believe this will be one of the features. I think they've talked about pothole detection. They talked about a number of things. These are things that you have to solve to have a really human-like driverless system that people feel good about and want to get behind. And, if my car can remember where potholes or obstructions were, I mean, that would be a huge, huge benefit. And to me, that would be just one less reason for me to think that I need to grab the wheel. So I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting.
Okay. And then Omar said that many people will complain about the new stricter cabin camera, but it's worth it for no nag. Nobody's going to be paying attention to the road like FSD users. So apparently they've removed the nag so that if you don't hold the wheel, it nags you and says you better do it. Otherwise, you're going to get a strike. Now they're just using the in-cabin camera to follow you. If you're looking straight out the road, it's fine. You can not hold the steering wheel at all. Now, there's some issues with sunglasses, things like that, but it's actually much more stricter. And so this whole idea that the in-cabin camera is following you, people don't even talk about it. They don't even realize it's happening. That is game changer. I mean, tell me any other car. This should have been part of every car, right? Because it can know if you're sleeping, if it can know if you're being too distracted, it can warn you. He said that regulators should be satisfied that the new driver monitoring system on 12.4 is much safer than the one on 12.3. No question about it. What's your thoughts on removal of
Yeah,
nag, which everybody just loves, by the way. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's one major step in this being a delightful experience. I think the nag thing, because sometimes the problem with the mechanical nag on the wheel is sometimes it didn't recognize it, and then all of a sudden it beeps you, and even though you are squeezing the wheel or moving the wheel. So I think just removing that just makes it feels like it's one step closer to me just getting in my car, folding my hands, and then telling it where I want to go, and it goes. So I think that's the exciting part of it. The fact that you need to keep your head straight and looking at the road, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think this is still a supervised system. And for you to be supervising the vehicle, you should be looking ahead. To me, that's the higher order bit. It's not, do you squeeze the wheel or not? So I always thought this was the plan. And I think Tesla needed to get the logic right, get the AI right. So it works. It works. These are difficult things to do. You've got, different size and shapes of people and heads and skin tone and hair and so forth. So these are very, very difficult things to dial in and tune in. I think it has taken them, about a year to do it, but I think this is part of the solution to getting to an unsupervised system, is knowing what's going on inside of the cabin. But while you're supervised, you should be looking ahead, and I think this is great.
Okay, and not one of the good points. Now, we'll go through the list, like point by point, of all the things that was good or bad from the early access users. One of the biggest bad things that had happened is the big bug of lane regression. Keeps ping-ponging, doesn't know where it wants to go. So this is AI driver said extreme example of FSD 12.4.1 lane indecisiveness regression. It used to do this quite well. Now it's not. 6 lane changes in 1 minute. He's great. He's got the lane change counter there too. So let's watch this. Okay, so it's turn left. It looks like it did it properly on the far left. Okay. Now it's making a change to the right and middle. That's fine. Now it's going to make a change. Okay. Sure. Fine. Oh, so I don't want to be in the right. I'm going to go back to the middle. I mean, it's not that terrible, actually. He made it sound like it's terrible. 6 lane changes. Okay, this is annoying. Sure. And then that's weird. This, oh God, okay. There you go. All right. So 6 lane just 1 minute. And James Dama, well-known machine learning expert, is following Tesla very closely. He said, it's a bug. The turn restrictions at intersections are being incorrectly integrated into the planner input, such that it misinterprets its current lane as required turn left or right. So it's changing lanes preemptively to avoid arriving at the intersection in a lane that doesn't go straight through. Early 11 had this in spades, and even late 11 in some places. 12.3 reduced it greatly, but it looks like they're still searching for the right compromise between relying on the map data and prioritizing perception. It's a bug. It used to be there. They solved it. So again, it's the main bug, by the way, as far as we know right now. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that Tesla needs to work through, in terms of bug drive down. So these things reemerge or get worse, it's hard to say, if it's to what level it's gotten better or worse. I've had some level of ping-ponging occur in my drive. Like, why is it making this lane change? And is there a way to minimize? And there's a selection in the menu where you can minimize it, but you have to manually select it before each drive. So I think it's really honestly this balance of, I want to get to the location in the most efficient manner possible, in the quickest manner possible. But I also, this whole thing about rider comfort, I think, is going to become a key issue. And it's like, what if you had an Uber driver that was doing that, you'd be like, okay, what's going on here, and this is an experience I want. So this will be another input for AI to say, like, what was the comfort of my drive? And I'm actually sure that they're gathering information in terms of sensors from the vehicle. But there also may need to be some input from the driver as well, as this goes from supervised to unsupervised, to really focus on this comfort aspect and really reduce the amount of lane changing that's occurring. Every time you change a lane, you're introducing some amount of risk. Like, what if there's a car in the other lane next to you and there's timing issues? I do see the cars changing lanes in an intersection, like in a light, in at least in Illinois, that's illegal in most parts. So there's things that need to be worked through. There's no question about it. This is a bug, and they need to work through that logic and figure it out.
That's a good point, because before you said that, I was about to reply to you and say, well, okay, so first of all, the car can get me from A to B. That's step one. Step one is no critical disengagement. So far, we're not hearing that all of a sudden the car is going to, do something really, really terrible. That's step one. Step two is, can it get me to my destination? So how important is comfort? But what you just made, that's a very good point, that if it's this particular one, it actually introduces higher risk. And so it needs to be defensive driver. And of course, it is important. Comfort is important, because otherwise people won't do robotaxi. But my point is that we're now getting to the point of, we're debating of, did it change lane when it didn't need to change lane? But it's still headed in the right direction. It still stopped the stop lines. So
yeah, the debates are changing, but these things are important because what you're trying to drive is mass adoption.
Yeah.
And you want to get over this curve of early experimenters, like, okay, this is cool, I like it, I see the wheel turning, that's great. Yeah. But now you want to get to it so it's like, okay, when I get in this thing, it drives well. Like, it drives, and that will make you want to get in again and use it again, and then re-up your subscription for the next month. So they really have to be really focused on the comfort of the driver. It's almost, I wish they could almost like put a heart rate monitor and a blood pressure cuff on someone as well to understand like how they're feeling during the drive.
Yeah. I guess you're right, because people need to feel safe, and they need to feel like it drives like a really good human driver. And so then I'll just ignore it. Now I'm fine. And we're not there. This won't happen. So I think the big disappointment for me, like I said, that bug is a bug. I can see them fixing that easily. In fact, I don't think that's going to be a hard one. Let's cross our fingers. But it's this one, right? That Omar confirmed that there's no summon or banish accessible to customers with FSC 12.4.1 at this point. Now, when I asked him about this before, he said his guess was 50-50. 50% chance it's going to show up at 12.4. Maybe it'll show up at 12.5. Elon did say that these two features were going to show up at 12.4. It could be that it's there, but they didn't want to release it until these bugs are resolved. Do you feel the same way as I am, or you're okay with these big features being pushed out?
Well, I'm not okay with them being pushed out, but I understand it. They could either be unstable themselves and still be buggy and not be acceptable for consumers, or they could be destabilizing the whole release. I don't know if we know what's actually going on. But I'd rather them, resolve these issues and make sure it's stable. I mean, this is a big thing. Summon is, I'm standing somewhere where my car isn't, and my car can come to me and move on its own. And banish is I get out of my car and it goes and finds a parking. Like, these are big things. These aren't little features. So I think it's really important for Tesla to get it right. And to make sure that it's safe, number one. And number two, there's not going to be some situation where your car is, parking, 100 yards or 200 yards away, and you've got to go run after and chase it because it's caught in some weird state between, two cars or something. So they've got to get this right, and I'm okay with it. If it has to take longer, then that's fine. I mean, you're never happy. You want things as promised, but I can understand that. What's happening is they're setting really tough dates and really tough milestones on the team, and sometimes these things get, these are things that don't exist anywhere else. That's the other thing. There's no thing to go copy or or baseline and say, well, how are they doing it? Well, Tesla is setting the standard here. So I think the level of unpredictability in some of these dates, the amount of unpredictability is going to be pretty big, and until these things are really resolved and stable. So there's no template to go after.
Mm-hmm. So 2 new features that I'm very excited about, because it shows you that they're still making progress heading towards robotaxi, is this new rider quality score and guest mode. So we're really getting closer and closer to, Uber-like ride sharing experience. So here you've got the report is that Tesla recently added a new property in the API. This is a software code that they can look at, leverages the cabin camera to find out if there's anyone inside the car. It doesn't identify who or where they're seated or give Tesla access to the camera, but does let you know whether there's anyone inside the car, probably. The data in the API is usually to be leveraged by the Tesla app, but the detection Tesla is doing here could be used for things like automatically enabling cabin overheat protection if someone was left inside the car. So there's guest mode. Tesla, a new guest mode. We reported on this a couple weeks ago. It restricts users' functionality in the vehicle, similar to Tesla's valet mode. A guest mode requires PIN to drive, to open a glove box, limits the vehicle speed, prevents addition or removal of keys. This is similar to the functionality that's used by Hertz for its fleet management level management, but that have been some additional updates to the entire API. This guest mode endpoint is only accessible in vehicles on update 2024.14. And then there's rider quality score. So there's a screenshot of a new API property called rider quality score. The property appears to give the user a score, presumably from 0 to 5 or 10. I guess they don't know because it says here rider quality score 5, based on some characteristics, although Tesla may be simply testing the feature and the values don't provide any real guidance yet. Thoughts on those 2 features?
Yeah, I think these are all steps towards your vehicle becoming a robotaxi. It's happening right in front of our eyes. So, these APIs need to go out. There needs to be debugging work that's occurring, but we're within 60 days, right, of the event, and on 8/8, and I believe right now that there's a release on the network side, there's a vehicle release, and there's an app release right now that has all of the functionality inside of it for robotaxi. This is my personal belief, and they are in a bug drive down, a debug state at this point, and they still may be adding features over a period of time, because I don't think robotaxi is going to be released on 8. I think they're going to show a demonstration of it, but I do believe that they've got the full thing built out, and now they're debugging it, and they're going to have to make it so it can scale and it's reliable, and they've thought through all these use cases. And so that's the thing, there's all these use cases that need to be thought through with guest mode. For example, this rider quality score. Remember the first version of the safety score for driving versus where it is today. So I think these are all steps towards an autonomous future. You're seeing it right in front of your face. And where else would you see this other than Tesla? So I think this really differentiates where Tesla is relative to everything else, and you're seeing it real time.
Okay, I'm going to do a summary now from AI Driver of everything that he saw for the first experience, and then we'll see Ashok Alaswamy, his response too. So we've got, this is a really good summary. AI Driver said, here's his first impressions. Feels more capable, but needs a lot more polish. No wheel nag is incredible. Really makes you feel like you're being driven around and truly transforms the experience. I feel like I'm doing something naughty by not touching the wheel, but it's so nice. Nags are still present, but looking forward to the road satisfies it. Never touched the steering wheel once except to park. We'll do more testing with sunglasses in daytime. Feels much more assertive, human-like while turning in general, especially U-turns, stop signs, and parking lots. Not any hesitancy or odd creeping in any of the intersections I've gone through so far. It just goes for it. Slowed down when a police officer turned on his lights beside my car. I know for a fact 12.3 didn't react to emergency lights at all. Again, this is early. We don't know for sure, but this is another example of a major leap in this 12.4 if it can now recognize police officers turning on lights. This was one example. There was another one that I'd seen somebody say. Auto speed has regressed a bit, at least at nighttime. It was going 5 miles per hour under the speed limit most of the time, never went 2 miles per hour over where 12.3 was, whereas 12.3 was always 5 to 6 miles per hour over the same roads. But sometimes they do this on the very first release, and then they dial it up later. Huge regression and random lane changes, fails very indecisive about which lane it wants to be in, was going back and forth between 2 lanes in short periods of time on multiple roads around where I live. The lane dancing, still a thing in a couple of intersections, but seems to be more decisive. 12.3 was definitely worse, but it's not completely fixed yet. So this is the biggest bug. This is another potential. It spotted some pedestrians crossing the street I never saw, and I doubt 12.3 would have waited for. Doesn't park itself when it reaches the destination. Will literally just drive, circle the parking lot over and over instead of just stopping at the navigation pin. Still need to disengage to auto park. So this was something we were hoping to see, that it will get to this area and then find a parking. Vision auto park feels much faster. Shifts are super quick, and it feels like it knows what it's doing. I might actually use it a bit now. I heard about this too, improvements in that. Thoughts on that summary?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I mean, there's things that have gotten better. There's things that have regressed. Regression's not uncommon when you have a major new release, and Tesla has a bug list, and it's categorized by priority. Priority, ones or A's are usually the higher ones. Sometimes they're priority 0, depending on the system. It's 1, 2, 3, and the ones have got to be solved in some period of time, probably before the next release or probably before it goes wide. The 2s and the 3s are of lesser priority, but I'm sure they've got their bug list from this release, and they have features that are not fully integrated. So this gives you an idea a bit of the timeline that's in front of us. It's the middle of June. There's still, the release we're on is 12.3.6. That's what most of the population is on. And there's going to be this stabilization period. It's probably going to take them, my guess would be, until we're on a stable 12.4 release, would probably be to the end of June. And then, it would probably be another, month, maybe end of July before, 12.5. So you can see what's happening to the schedule here. But Tesla's gaining valuable information, and you can see that there's new features that are being added. There's some breakage that's occurring, and there's a bug drive down list that they've got to work through. So I'm confident that they will. But it gives you an idea when you're doing something that's never been done before, the ability to predict those interim dates of when you'll see these point releases and what's going to be in them. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult to do. I'm looking forward to 12.5. I think a lot of people are looking forward to 12.5. It's going to upmerge. A lot of people get this spring update as well. And then the Cybertruck getting, driverless capability will be important. The parking sensors, autopilot on highway and full self-driving will be a very important milestone for Cybertruck owners as well. So I think 12.5 is going to be a big release. So I think it's going to take them through June to get us onto a stable point release for 12.4.
Okay. Well, so far it's looking good. 12.4, right? It's going to have some bugs. But if it wasn't for those, that major bug of the lane changing, it's looking really good. So let's listen to Ashok Alaswamy. He said, replying to Dirty Tesla, who's been testing us now, hands-free FSD is finally here, and it's awesome. That experience, Ashok says, designed to be a pleasure to use for attentive users. Again, just clarifying that you're still, even though you don't put your hands on the wheel, you're still being seen by the cabin camera, and they're trying to design it for pleasure to use. We're going to get there, seeing some movement there. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. That was fun. This is still early access. People will follow some more, but I wanted to give everybody the update of this pretty big development. Early access now has 12.4. Thanks, Jeff. Follow him on X, the Jeff Lutz.
Thanks, Herbert. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.